Welcome to Modern Musings, conversations with the maiden, mother, and crone, looking at ourselves and the world through the lens of the 21st century. Hi, and welcome back. I'm your hostess, Cindy Murray, and I am here today with my co-hosts, Kristen Hessler and Amber Jones. This week, we are talking about introverts and extroverts. And it's kind of an interesting topic because I always thought when I was younger that I was an introvert because I was very, very shy. I had a hard time just, approaching people I didn't know. If you engaged me in conversation, it was something interesting, I would talk to you. But I really didn't just seek out conversation with people I didn't know. But the odd thing is that all of my report cards always said, talks too much. And I'm like, okay. There are people I know, though. In school, my report cards always said that I talk too much. And always. And as I grew older, I kind of came to realize that, and I didn't even know this until much later, that there is such a thing that is in between. So I'm an introvert in that I do like my solitude. I want to be left alone sometimes. I do sometimes have a challenge talking to strangers if I don't have some common ground to strike up a conversation or whatever, or I might have to work to get up the nerve to approach a stranger with something. But at the same time, I am very happy in crowds, with a lot of people and interacting. And I found that I actually enjoyed, getting up in front of people and talking. Obviously, that's what I'm doing right now, even though there's just the three of us in the room. But I like talking to other people. I started hosting events where I got up and just spoke, and I felt I was okay with that. So, and I like to, like I said, I like to be alone. I like to have quiet time and be left alone to do what I want to do without being interrupted until I get lonely. And then I want to be around a lot of people. And I actually found out that there was something in between introvert and extrovert. And that was called an ambivert. And it's kind of like being ambidextrous. You could be both or one or the other at any given time. And so that's kind of where I'm at. Mm-hmm. Do you find that you are one or the other, Kristen?
Well, I was actually just thinking on your comment about, thinking because you were shy that you were an introvert. And
right.
I don't think that's
the
true.
Same thing. I don't think it's the same thing.
Because I think if you're shy, you're actually just an extrovert who's self-conscious about what other people might think
could be.
or
that
what
could be.
the
Yeah.
outcome might
but
be.
But I do like being alone. I really do like my solitude.
Right. Well, yeah, I'm not saying that you're not an ambivert. I'm just saying that because you're shy, you're self-conscious.
Right.
That means there's probably a desire to have those interactions with people.
But you don't know how, or you're not confident in your ability to do it.
You're worried about how you're going to come across or whether you'll be reciprocated.
That's true. Yeah.
And I feel like an introvert
truly doesn't
care because they don't want to have those interactions.
That's probably true. And there, like I said, there are times when I don't want those interactions. I want everybody to go away and leave me alone. Can I please just watch my TV show in peace? Mm-hmm. Can I sit here and read in silence? Everybody leave the house. But but if I'm here at home alone for days on end or whatever, then I'm like, okay, I need to go hang out with my friends. I really need to go hang out with my friends. And then after I've been with a bunch of people for a few days, I'm like, I really need some me time.
Yeah.
I really do. So, what about you, Amber? Are you an introvert or an extrovert or an ambivert?
She's
Uh,
Amber.
She's
yeah,
ambervert, which we
I'm ambivert.
yes.
You know what? I probably, I mean, I want to say that I'm an introvert, but I'm not really shy per
Hmm.
se,
Okay.
and it's weird. I'm, I guess I would say that I am an ambivert
Okay.
because I do like to be alone
Uh huh.
and get anxiety sometimes about leaving the house. But once I'm out there and around, especially people I know or at work or around my
Hmm.
students and stuff like that, then I am definitely an extrovert and can get in front of a crowd. And but I mean it's one of those learned behaviors
Uh huh.
like you did, like when I first, when I was in school, I didn't get the she talks too much thing. I tried not to talk and not to bring attention to myself.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah, even though I was one of those kids that, when the teacher asked a question out loud, I knew the answer, but there was
You weren't
no
gonna
way
answer.
I was going to say the answer.
Uh huh.
And so, and then that, I'm sure that was like some kind of childhood trauma or something like that. I can unpack that later. But now I went off to college and it was kind of the same way. And then I slowly came out of my shell
Uh huh.
in college. And I remember taking my first speech class in college, which I didn't do very good. I think I failed out of it, or I got a D or C or something like that. And I had to retake it when I was to become a teacher because
Uh
I
huh.
had to get a B or better in speech.
Mhm.
So I remember being super nervous in front of speech class, wanting to puke and stuff like that. But then, as time got on and I became more comfortable in my skin, then I was able to talk in front of people.
Mhm.
I still get nervous when I have to do a presentation or something like that at work, but it's that's because I don't, I look at everybody and I see them judging me, but so yeah, as time goes on, it's a lot easier to talk in front of
Mhm.
people and everything. um During our break here for a second, Kristen told me that she thinks of me as an extrovert. Is that true,
Ah.
Cindy?
Hmm. I don't know because I don't really see you in big public
Mm-hmm.
situations. So I really see you in
Yeah.
small gatherings. So I don't know. I think I would have to disagree. I,
See, I have a friend or ex coworker that sees me as the same way as.
uh-huh.
I don't know. I mean, it really depends because I can easily go off into a corner and read my book.
Mhm.
So it's just one of those social battery things. Like if my social card is full, then I
Yeah.
got to get out of there
That's
and
me.
get
Yeah.
away from people. But
I think that's part of being an empath though,
yeah.
because you kind of soak up other people's energy
Mhm.
and after a while you're just I really need to slough off
Mhm.
everybody else and just go be by myself for a while.
I think I'm good at faking being an extrovert
Mhm.
because I am, you know,
Well, you're a school teacher. You
I'm
have
a
to get
teacher.
up in
Yeah, I
front of
have to
people all
fake
the
it.
time.
So I'm good at faking working a crowd.
Mhm.
And that is one thing that my mom drilled into me growing up because she was an extrovert.
Mhm.
She was very social. She drilled into me as a kid I should go into a room and be the first to speak.
Mm.
I should, go up to people and do this and do that. And she had like things that she taught me. Now I don't do that because I do take after my father. I try to like scuttle into a room and not be noticed, but you know, it happens.
Yeah, yeah. I don't. I like I say, I have that thing where I need to feed off of other people's energy
Mm-hmm.
to feel energetic myself. So I think it in some ways my extrovert introvert thing has a lot to do with my empathy, because
I totally would say you're an extrovert and not an introvert.
but see, I really 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 like to be alone. Like during COVID,
Mm-hmm.
when my house had people in it all the time, I was a basket case because I had no personal space where I could be away from other people. And that is something I have, you know, since my son, he's 31 now, okay? So I became a stay at home mom shortly after he was born and, or worked from home. And so I've always had days like, at least half a day by myself every day,
Mm-hmm.
and enjoyed that time and needed that time. And when I had so many people, in and out of this house all day long, I was energetically drained all the time. And so that's why I think I'm really an ambivert, and maybe even leaning more towards the introvert part. I fake, even though I talk a lot. When I talk to people, it's always people that I have common ground with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't just strike up conversations with strangers. I don't just, you know, work a room, whatever. I tend to stay to the side until I find someone who has something in common with me that I can bounce conversation off of. And so I just feel like I'm more leaning towards that introvert, but I'm really an ambivert because I do need to be in public and to feel that energy of being around people. But it took me a long time to learn to talk in front of other people. I didn't have speech class in high school or college. Um, they weren't required at either school that I went to. Um, so I didn't take them. And I remember giving my first speech. I was on the PTA, and I'm trying to remember. I was the membership chair, and I had to give the lifetime membership award, and I had to be the one to present it. And I had to get up in front of the entire assembly and tell them why this teacher deserved the lifetime membership award for the PTA or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like a deer in the headlights. That was the hardest thing. I wrote the speech myself. I knew everything in it, but it was the hardest thing to get through in my entire life. And it was in front of my peers. It was people that I talked
Yeah.
to
I
day
think,
in and day out all the time.
yeah.
And it was so hard. So that's why one of the reasons I think but if I get on something that I'm passionate about, something that I have knowledge about, where I can speak from my heart without, having to meet whatever constraints or whatever. Like when I do I used to present these breast cancer events, and at first we started off talking about my friend Pam, because our events were called Pam's Pals, and we were raising funds to help Pam with her medical expenses and living expenses while she went through breast cancer treatment, and she did not have a job or insurance. And so at that time, so I got up and I just talked about Pam, and I talked about breast cancer. And then, years later, when I myself was diagnosed with breast cancer, I was able to get up in front of people and give an impassioned speech about why it's important that we fund this research and why it's important to have mammograms and why we do this event and all that stuff. And it was easy for me to talk about because I had such a passion for it. And also because there was a lot of people there who were my friends because they would come to this event, you know. But it was not an easy, it's still, I don't know. It's easy for me to talk. It's easy for me to work that room. And I would get up and I would work that room and talk to everybody and make everybody comfortable. But at the same time, by the time that day is over, I am just shot. And it's like, I need to have a day off where I don't talk to anybody. Please don't call me. Don't text me. I don't want to have any kind of social interactions at all.
Yeah, you were talking about being nervous, talking in front of a bunch of people. Like, I also think that even extroverts, that's that shy thing.
Right.
It's not necessarily shy, but just fear of messing up because it's important.
Right.
I think that's because you care.
Right.
Someone who doesn't care about the quality is not going to be nervous about
it was a whole lot easier for me as a singer and musician when I was younger. I performed in bands and stuff. It was a whole lot easier for me to get up there and sing in front of people than it would be to give a speech about something. Yeah.
But you were confident in your ability to sing without
Maybe
embarrassing yourself.
Maybe so. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe so.
I mean, when you're giving an award to someone else, you don't want to screw up.
Right. It was important.
Yeah.
It was important. I was impassioned about when I say it was easy for me to give an impassioned speech about breast cancer, that's not to say I wasn't impassioned about the person we were giving this award to, because we were impassioned about, I really felt like that person deserved it, but it was just the reading of this speech about this person, was really challenging for me.
Yeah.
So what about you, Kristen? What are you?
Well, I'm pretty positive that I'm an introvert. Because most times I couldn't care less about the social interactions.
Right.
I mean, like, I am not the one to pick up the phone and call somebody.
Yeah, I don't either.
I do send some people like a meme or a video, and that's become easier,
right,
to send proof of life.
Yes,
text messaging has become so much easier.
Yeah, but I'm not the one that goes like, oh, I can't wait till blah 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 so I can call so and so. I do not think that way. I go, I can't wait until I can go home and lay down in my bed and close my eyes.
Yeah.
I talk to myself. I don't need to talk to other people. Like, that's just the way my brain does.
Talking on
my
the phone.
brain does not go, I need to talk to someone about this problem, or I need to see someone, or I need a hug, or like, and literally, like, whenever people come over, I'm like, okay, when are you leaving? Like, the whole time. I'm like,
yeah, when I'm like someplace, I'm like, when can I leave?
Exactly.
Like the whole time, I'm like, even if I'm having
parties
fun,
a lot of times.
I think in my mind, what am I going to do?
I'm
after
always
this?
creating my exit strategy in everything, any social reactions. Anytime I'm having a conversation with someone, I am crafting in my mind my exit strategy out of that conversation, out of getting out of that person's face. Because people do not have personal space boundaries. They get too close.
Yeah.
They stand too close. They talk too long. I'm like, go away.
Yeah.
I
do have that too.
Thinking of exit strategy.
I have that too. I have people, neighbors that come and talk, or somebody that comes to visit. One of the, just people that I barely know.
And talking to somebody.
Yeah, it's people that I barely know, and they will come and they'll catch me outside, and I'll be out there.
Catch me outside. How about that?
Catch me outside.
Sorry.
About that.
Can't help it.
But seriously, they will. You'll go out to check your mail, and somebody will be driving by, and they'll, oh, hey, you're home.
No. I'm like, if I'm the person driving, like, oh God, I hope they didn't see me.
Right?
Or like if
Yeah,
you're
in the
out
grocery
in public,
store.
yes,
Oh my
I
gosh.
will go the other way to avoid
I know.
talking
I
to
hope they
somebody.
didn't see me. I hope they didn't see me.
I
hope
will
they didn't
just
see
not go to the store, and I will have something else for dinner instead.
If I go to
I'll
a
have
place
cereal
where I
for
know
dinner.
I'm gonna run into somebody, I will not go to like when I go home to Vernon, my hometown, I do not go to the grocery store. I do not go to Walmart. I do not go anywhere public. I go to
That
wherever
reminds me.
I'm going, stay there,
I
and
have a
then
terrible
leave.
story. We went to Lubbock. Okay, so we're in the Dallas area. As we all know, we've talked about, I'm from the Lubbock area. It's about 350 miles-ish away. It's a good 5-6 hour drive,
Mhm.
if you don't stop. And my sister-in-law was having her 40th anniversary, and it was a surprise. So we couldn't tell anybody we were coming into town because we didn't want anybody to leak to her that we were coming into town. And so we just decided to drive into town late the night before. We got a hotel room, and we were going to go to dinner at her little thing, and then we were going to leave. Well, actually, I think we drove in that day. We didn't even come in the night before. We drove in that day, went to the hotel, changed clothes and everything, went to her dinner, and then we were going to leave the next morning to get there. And we had to stop to get something. I don't remember, but we stopped at a grocery store on our way out of town, and we ran into my aunt and uncle. and they were like, well, you're in town. And we're like, shh, don't tell Mom we're in town. Because I didn't even tell my own mother that we were in town. We just came in and went back out. And I felt so bad about that because we went there, and you would think we wouldn't run into anybody that we knew, but we sure did.
That time when I got my nose pierced and we went to the ball and ran into somebody from Vernon.
You ran where?
When Kristen got her tongue pierced and I got my nose pierced in college. And I didn't tell my mom about it. And we went to the mall, and I ran into somebody from Vernon.
Oh, gosh.
In the Lubbock Mall.
In the Lubbock Mall.
Oh, my gosh.
And they immediately called my mom's best friend.
No.
Who called my mom to let her know that I had a nose ring. And I didn't talk to my mom about it, let her stew about it for like a week. And then I went home, and she had like all of these images in her head about how I had my septum pierced and everything like that. And then the first thing she saw she met me at the car to see what it looked like. And she was like, oh, that's not that bad. I was thinking you had a bullhorn in your nose.
A bullhorn?
Yeah. Or a bull ring.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, yes. I know what you're talking about.
Put a
Yes.
funny image in my
A
head.
bullhorn.
Bullhorn
Yeah.
sticking out of your nose. Either way, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
my.
speaking of funny swap up of words, so in the last episode, we were laughing at Amber because I don't remember what you called it. Omnivorous? I don't remember.
Omnivert or something
So
like
actually, you are correct.
What?
There is introvert, extrovert, ambivert, and omnivert.
What's an
Omnivert.
omnivert?
What is an
So
omnivert?
omnivert
eat
versus
only
ambivert.
vegetables?
Right. So
Omnivore.
ambiverts balance introversion and extroversion
That's me. Yeah.
simultaneously, making them not seem overly introverted or extroverted. However, and this is where I was like, thinking about myself, okay?
Okay.
Omniverts' behavior is entirely situational, causing them to be either super introverted or extremely extroverted.
Oh.
It's the extremes. So ambivert is
A balance.
Okay, yeah. Think about remember when you were in government, right? And there was the left
Left-wing,
right wing, and left wing,
right.
Right.
And then there's libertarians, and then I forget what the other one
Yes.
is, right? So it's really for
4 quadrants.
4 quadrants, right? So I'm sure that it's probably the same way with introvert, extrovert, ambiverts. Ambiverts are kind of like in the middle, whereas omniverts are both ends of the ends.
Okay, yeah. And they swing widely between the two.
So, like, I want to be a rock star, but I want to be by myself.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
And see, well, I don't know. Mine, and I may be swinging more that omnivert way too, because, like I said, I like to be alone until I don't want to be alone anymore. And then I want to be surrounded by people doing something I love. And then I want to be around people and doing things with other people until I get tired of people. And it's like, okay, y'all need to go home, and I want to go be by myself.
I think that, like, I don't ever not want to be alone. Like, I can be around people and do people-y things.
But
especially
you like to
if
be
I have
alone
to.
when you're around those people.
Yeah, but I think that I always want to be alone.
I could see that, because even when you're here socializing, even when we're doing Modern Musings things, you have a tendency to wander to the living room and sit on the couch by yourself and do whatever you're doing.
Well, like, even when I'm in like a big crowd, or like if we go tour a museum or something like that. Oh gosh, I did it when we were in the cave.
Yeah,
I wandered away from the crowd.
Far away from the crowd.
Yeah. And the guy got nervous because
I kept trying to get closer to the crowd because I wanted. I kind of have that, a little bit of that FOMO kind of thing. You know, that's where my omnivert or my extrovert person comes in, because I can't stand to miss out on what the group is doing or whatever. So,
but yeah, you know, that is true. Like, even when I'm around the people that I love, like, sometimes I just need to, like, go and be alone. You like be alone in the same room.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. So you think you're an omnivert, Kristen?
Yeah.
Where you swing back and forth?
Yeah, because so here's one. So, and I'm actually looking at this from simplepsychology.org.
Okay.
Here's an example. So, when faced with a group of more introverted people, omniverts may display extroverted traits. So they kind of become like extrovert. And they also can switch from behaving as an extrovert and an introvert, and often portray conflicting personalities to different people.
I see that.
So,
I do.
like with my husband, I'm the extrovert.
Right.
In the relationship, I am the extrovert. And even with, you know, our whole family dynamic, I am extremely extroverted compared to the rest of my family. And because I am very take charge in our family dynamic, I'm definitely an extrovert.
Right.
But, you know, and at work, I'm an extrovert.
Yes, because you're a boss.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, I'm that type of boss too. So, like, I will put myself out there and tell jokes on the Zoom meeting or whatever, you know, to lighten the mood or things like that. Like, I have those extrovert, you know, traits.
Right.
But then if I'm in like a group setting with other extroverts, I probably would tend to be more introverted.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's interesting. That was really, because I was like scrolling around looking at like the traits of introverts and extroverts, because I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm an introvert, like, no doubt.
Right.
You know, I have some things that I can, you know, be extroverted, but I'm an introvert. And then I was like, well, wait, there is an omnivert. So sorry, Amber, we laughed at you, but it was really funny. But yeah, there's omnivert. So I believe that's also introvert and extrovert was Carl Jung. Also,
was it?
Which is the shadow self guy.
Okay. Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting. I want to look up a little bit more about that, because I know that we had talked about shadow work and we talked about Carl Jung and Jungian principles or theories or whatever.
Theories, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought, interesting.
That is interesting.
So, yeah.
So who do you think it is harder for, an introvert or an extrovert? Do you think it's harder to be in in today's world,
today's world, I'm just gonna jump in and answer. I know you're still trying to ask your question,
yeah,
Alex Trebek, but I think this world is catering more to introverts.
I was kind of thinking that too.
So many things are catering towards introverts.
Do you think that's because of COVID and the?
No, I think because like TikTok.
Oh well, yeah.
YouTube, and all of those. Like even just like we'll just use TikTok, for example. You can feel more connected with people without having to be around people, and they're just a swipe away. You just swipe them away if you're done. Turn your phone off. Grocery pickup order was before COVID.
Well, yeah,
it was. No, like, I've been doing grocery pickup since 1998, 2018.
When we were kids, we had to be extroverted. Versus now, where you can just be behind.
Yeah,
your
if
phone.
you wanted to have a friend as a kid growing up in the 90s, you had to actually like approach a person
and go to their house
and put yourself out on a limb to be their friend. But now, it's easier to meet people.
So do
online
you think,
dating?
Do you think? So you think that today's society is making people more introverted? Or that it's just easier for introverts to...
No, because extroverts still have an outlet. TikTok. That's why I use TikTok as an example. The extroverts are out there putting their content.
They're making the
and
content.
And the people who are maybe just the introverts that want to view the content and feel connected in small doses.
Well, like also introverts are putting out content too, because it's kind of like a safe
it works both ways.
Space where they're not in front of somebody having to do that thing or talk to that thing. Unless you're just like weirdly me and don't want to talk in front of a video and post content.
But yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. I think it works both ways because an introvert can have a live stream and talk to no one in their mind.
They're talking
just
to themselves.
Yeah. And then it's going to the masses, so the extroverts feel connected. The introverts can feel connected without having
to get out of their shell,
or get too close or have a commitment, because there's no commitment to being liking or unliking someone on TikTok.
Right.
Okay. And so I feel like it caters to both. Like, I think it's mutual.
Okay.
Same thing with online dating. People who are really extroverted, who want to meet a lot of people, can go online and meet a lot of people. Right? People who are introverts can be very selective. It works.
Yeah, okay.
I think that I saw something about introverts are like higher IQ people, or maybe people with higher IQs are more likely introverts. I don't know what the cause and effect is, chicken egg, but I could see that.
Okay.
But I also can to argue, not to agree with your point that I'm sure our IQs are probably going up, right? Not due to COVID.
I would hope so.
But
I would hope so.
Like, 100 years ago, our IQs are higher than the people from 100 years ago collectively, right? So in that sense, maybe there's a little bit more introverts. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just thinking things.
It's a thought. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know whether our IQs are higher or not, though. That would be
something I want to look up. I'm just guessing. I'm spewing junk out of my mouth.
I know, but I'm kind of curious about that now because I don't even know what kind of IQ tests they had back then, or how they would relate to today.
IQ tests really aren't like the same anymore. Yeah. So they're testing differently, like what like say I would have, or Kristen would have been IQ tested as a kid. Nowadays they test on completely different things.
Right. So I don't know. I would be curious about that though, because I mean obviously there were geniuses a long way back. I mean, but there are some people who theorize that our IQs are going down. You know, the movie Idiocracy was a good
Yeah.
parody of that dilemma.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's kind of interesting.
I think
it could go both ways.
I think it does, because the new social interactions that we have are different. The forums, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
like TikTok. We're always going to beat up on TikTok, right? So it was Facebook 10 years ago. Now it's TikTok.
Now it's TikTok, yeah.
So with that, because everything is like 10 seconds, I can make a video and talk as fast as like you were complaining about that, like the speeded up voice, and there's no pauses in between.
But monotone
you get a whole like lengthy conversation in 60 seconds, right? Something that would have normally taken 5 minutes. And so with that, our attention spans have changed.
Yes,
too.
They have dropped.
So, and like text messaging, using that as an example too, our communication methods have changed.
And writing, like the way people write, they use smaller words. They don't use...
Our communication...
Because it's too hard to type them out on your phone.
Girl, I can send you like 3 GIFs or emojis and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about or feeling.
Right.
Like, I don't even need to use words anymore. I can just send you moving pictures of TV shows that happened like 10 years ago. And you're like, oh, I know that Friends episode. I know what you're talking about. So that's the way we communicate now.
Right.
So introverts and extroverts, you can still have like communication methods, but they're different.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we are getting a little bit dumber, but I think we're also getting a little bit more connected with each other, so maybe our social intelligence is going up.
Okay. Maybe. I don't know. Interesting. Well, it's a lot for our listeners to think about. If you have something that you would like to add, we would love for you to tell us about it. You can hit us up on our MMC chat, which is our Facebook group that is linked to our Modern Musings Facebook page. So just go to the Modern Musings Facebook page, and then you can click right on over to MMC Chat. You can also access it on our website at modernmusings.net. And that's where you can also find our blogs when we write them, and the Heard It on the podcast. If we've mentioned anything in the podcast, we usually put a link there for you. And what's up next week, Amber?
What we're talking about next week is we're going to do another Writer's Corner episode, and we're going to talk about flash fiction. Ooh. What is flash fiction, and what are the intricacies of it?
Okay, I'm curious.
Okay.
I am curious. You know all the writing stuff. I'm just like, just give me something to read. I'll just read it. I don't have to define
I'll give
all
you
the
some
stuff.
Flash fiction to read.
There you go. That'll be awesome.
And then, no, we're not talking about the Flash. We're talking about flash fiction.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, we will be back next week with some flash fiction from Amber. And adios.
Bye.
Bye.